الحمد لله الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه الحمد لله الأول بلا أول كان قبله والحمد لله الآخر بلا آخر يكون بعده والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا العبد المعير والرسول المسدد المحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. عباد الله أوصيكم بتقوى الله وإطاعة أمره. قال الحكيم في قرآننا في محكم كتاب الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أمواتا بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون فرحين بما آتاهم الله من فضله ويستبشرون بالذين لم يلحقوا بهم من خلفهم لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Alhamdulillah that when the blessed month of Muharram comes, it's a month that reminds us one more time how to be the true followers of the justice against injustices. It reminds us that there is such a thing as those who come to Islam and divert the Muslims and the Islamic issues to something else. Muharram is a month of beginning of the year, but for us and for many people, as Muharram comes, many people start to think and evaluate themselves and then become better as the time goes on. As we read in our history or in our ahadith, there is a hadith that it says, by one school of thought, that it says, if the hakim, if the ruler is unjust, no matter what he does, you will have to follow him. And they call him ulul amr. Yet, we will see that the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he brings us to a different aspect of that concept. And very beautifully, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, who we know for sure, many of the books, regardless of the school of thought, he says that when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was praying, he noticed, the people notices that his sujood is getting much longer. When they see what's happening, they notice that the little Hassan and Hussein, the grandson, are sitting on his back, and he doesn't want to get up from the sujood while they're sitting on his back. Many of the narrators says that so many times, our Prophet ﷺ, he was playing with Imam Hussein and Imam Hussein and running after them. They enjoyed their small kids as they were, and then many times in that play, of course, he would have grabbed them and kissed their lips and their bellies and everywhere. They were both loved by Rasulullah, as finally, as you probably know, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in all of our Muslim books that we have, it says, Al-Hasan al-Hussein, Sayyid al-Shabab al-Jannah. The Hassan and Hussein are both of them the youth of the paradise. So with that, growing up in the lap, in the household of Rasulullah, who knows the sunnah better than him? Therefore, he comes and he says to the people that I heard my father says, Ayyuhan nas, inna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Man ra'a sultanan ja'iran. If anybody sees that a ruler is unjust, ruling the people, and he has these four categories. Based on these four categories, if you know that he is a ruler and he is doing all of that, and you don't change him, then your place is going to be the same place as he is. So where is he? Now he explains it, inshallah ta'ala, as we move forward together and to learn about what our Rasul said versus what suddenly the things was changed by the plots and schemes of Abu Sufyan at the beginning, and Yazid ibn Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan finally, the last one. All of you know, Yazid actually was Khalifa for 3 years. We all know the history, and that's what it was. The first year, what did he do? Creates the Karbala of Imam Hussein and killing the best people on the earth. killing, Imam Hussein accepted. Second year, as you probably know, the Waqa of Harra that took place in Medina, and he wanted to go ahead and all of those that were in Medina either be with him and obey Yazid, or their head has to be sent to Damascus. Therefore, he sent his army to Medina. You probably know 16 of those people that they were memorizers of the Holy Quran, they were all killed, plus 700 others, and 3 days the city of Medina became so-called halal to his soldiers for everything that they wanted to do. And the third year, he set the Kaaba, and he attacked the Kaaba and Mecca, and of course he set the Kaaba on fire, and finally Allah knows how he was actually killed. But the historians are saying different stories, so we leave it alone. This is where Yazid ibn Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan becomes a Khalifa of the Muslims. Now, compare. What would Imam Hussein do that he knows his father says? Man ra'a sultanan ja'iran mustahillan liharam Allah nakifan li'ahdillah mukhalifan li sunnati Rasulullah ya'mal fi ibadillah al-ithn wal-udwan فلم يغير ما عليه بالفعل والقول كان حقا على الله أن يدخله مغفرة. If you see, my grandfather said, I heard it. Hussein is not saying something that it is not untruth. So he will say, my grandfather said, anybody that sees a ruler that is cruel, what does he do? 4 things that he is doing. And these 4 things, you know if he's doing it. And if you don't change that condition, if you don't rise up, if you don't do anything, your place is the same place as he is. Where is the place of Yazid? If you don't change it, you will be the same place as he is. Where is the place of Saddam? The same place. If you didn't change it, the same place as he is. Today's life, as we're talking about. Or many of these rulers that we are talking about today. Therefore, the responsibility of the Muslim is not to follow any cruelty regardless and call it ulul amr. As you probably know, my dear brothers and sisters, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is connecting these 3 categories together, ati'ullah, wa ati'ur rasul, wa ulul amr minkum, they have to be in the same categories. Obey Allah, obey the messenger of Allah, and obey those that they are authoritarians. Therefore, the authoritarians have to be almost in the same level as Rasulullah, as the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, we will see that hadith that it's talking about any kind of ruler. If it is ruling upon you, he is ulul amr, you have to go ahead and polish it and clean it up a little bit with the way that Imam Hussein alayhi salam says. So he puts up his beautiful concept into the action. 1. What does he do? Mustahillan li haram Allah. What is haram? He makes it halal. What are the haram things? It doesn't make any difference whether you want to make salat or don't want to make salat. It's not my business, it's your business. Or the second thing, if the drinking is forbidden in the religion of Islam, go ahead and drink in the religion of Christian. That is what he says, which is not true anyway. Or many of the killing all of the people that he was supposed to be haram, he does it. So this is one from him. Compare Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is in there, and then what would he do to a ruler like that? Now Imam Hussein alayhi salam has no other choice except to take a position. First is mustahillan la haram. What's the second one? Nakifan li ahdillah. He breaks the covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do you break the covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Most of you know that at the beginning of our creation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alastu bi rabbikum? Am I not your Lord? Wasn't I the creator of yours and the whole heaven and everywhere? Yes. Everybody says yes, we will. So we know that our Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the one that it is performing for us whatever that we are in this earth is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we see it. Yet, furthermore, أَلَمْ أَعْهِدْ إِلَيْكُمْ يَا بَنِي آدَمَ أَنْ لَا تَعْبُدُوا الشَّيْطَانَ. Didn't you make promise to us, you made the ahd, that you will not follow shaitan? What does shaitan do? Don't say shaitan is the same thing as Hollywood sometimes introduces in our movies, and then we will see it. It's some things that it has a horn and it's got teeth hanging down and a sickle in its hand and hungry face. No. Shaitan is in our nafs. Anytime that I do anything against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I look at the mirror, that is one shaitan in action. Shaitan is nowhere except in nafs al-ammaratun bis-su'. My nafs is telling me, my desire, my wanting goes against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, what should I do? Those that they are really breaking their covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, naqitan li-ahdillah, that means they follow the path of shaitan. That means they have converted themselves from the human being to a path of shayateen. That is what it is. Naqitan li-ahdillah. Mukhalifan li-sunnati Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If they are against the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, each and every one of us, many times for past 20 years and before that, you have heard this humble brother of yours, we said that each and every one of us must be the follower of the sunnah of Rasulullah, and all of us must be the Sunnis. But the concept of what is the Sunni is the dispute between us. Sunnah, according to the one that they have been with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the Sunnah according to someone that became for 8 months with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Which your knowledge and your understanding and your aql will tell you, you will follow the sunnah of Rasulullah is with those that they lived with him, that they stayed with him, that they recorded him from beginning to the end. The sunnah of Rasulullah is with the one that, let me go ahead and give you a story of, very briefly, Imam Ali alayhi salam. You know that. Imam Ali, everybody loves him, no doubt. He was 3 and 4 years old that he was running after the Prophet before he became the Prophet. He was 10 years old when he heard on the Rashidat al-Aqrabin, and he said to the people, I came from the Ghar of Hara and I became the messenger, those that they accepted from me. Ali was only 10 years old, he accepted. Time passes, 23 years of Ali's time. Let's go ahead and 13 years now Rasulullah is in Mecca. After 13 years of all the problems, Imam Ali alayhi salam is with Rasulullah. So he sees exactly what's going on and how Rasulullah is acting. Finally, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is migrating from Mecca to Medina, and who stays on his place? Imam Ali alayhi salam. Why does he stay? For varieties of the reason. So the people, as those that they were in the Quraysh, was taking their properties and everything after they became Muslim, and he knew where it was. Rasulullah had to go at night, as you probably know that, and then Imam Ali alayhi salam, he stays until when the people of course attack him, or the people that they were already by the sword, they attack him, and he's not there. They say, where is Rasulullah? All of that is beside our talk today, which is a short one we are talking about. Yet we know he stayed there, so the people that actually were given Rasulullah all of the wealth and whatever that it was, returned it back to him. At the same time, the wasiyah of the Prophet is with him. So Rasulullah, after 13 years in Mecca, goes to Medina. Imam Ali alayhi salam takes the family of Rasulullah, all and these muhajirin, to Medina. Now we will see that continuously Ali is with Rasulullah. 10 years, according to Nahjul Balagha that we have, he says the 10 years that I was with Rasulullah in Medina, there was not a day that I had a rest. This is the concept of sunnah within an individual. So when he knew that Rasulullah is indeed migration to the life of hereafter, who was the one that he washed his body, he buried Rasulullah among them. Therefore we will say 23 years before he became messenger, until after that, he followed Rasulullah. If he follows the sunnah, we say yes, that is the sunnah of Rasulullah. Whatever he says, anything that he says, if it is with the same concept of the rest of the Sahaba, sam'an wa ta'atan, what is better than that? Alhamdulillah. But if there is a differ between Imam Ali, his household, and the rest, what do we do? We as a Muslim, we say at least the way that we think, we say, okay, if he was in household of the Prophet, and he knew what it was happening, and somebody else says that Prophet was doing that, yet he was only 8 months with the household, not all the time, once in a while. So we will take the advice of Imam Ali rather than anybody else's. So you become the follower of Ali in Hadith. So that is a sunnah of Rasulullah in that. Now we will see that when he says mukhalifan, the third part of it, mukhalifan sunnah Rasulullah. Anybody that is against the sunnah of Rasulullah, anybody that is against Al Muhammad, Allahumma salli Muhammad, Al Muhammad, then what would you do? Would you sit down calm and quiet? You don't do anything? And finally, the fourth part of the saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, يَعْمَلْ فِي عِبَادَ اللَّهِ بِالْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ, and he's acting with the people of Allah with all kind of the sin and the enmity, and to become the enemy of them. What did he do with all of the people? Why did he send to Medina? What did he do all of the people of the Bani Hashim? Why was it they were all massacred by Yazid ibn Muawiyah? All of that, when he sees all of these things he's doing, then Imam Hussein cannot be quiet, and then you say, yeah, I will go ahead and pledge allegiance to you. It is impossible. So that migration of Rasulullah from Mecca to Medina is the migration of his son from Medina to Mecca, Imam Hussein. So we will notice that after all whatever that will happen, finally the Ashura is appeared. That Ashura, it is true that we will hear from many of the Christians. Of course, I've been trying to find out who is this great man that his name, of course, is one of the ministers of the Christians, which his name actually is Antoine Barra, that he says, we believe Jesus died for our sin. That is what the Christianity believes. Jesus died for my sin. He put his life for our sin. So that is why we have to have a love of Jesus. He says, now that I heard about Ashura, and 72 people would give their life for Islam to stay. If Imam Hussein was ours, we could have put a member or pulpit or some places to talk to the people in every street and every corner, and we say, this is what we are, and every human being will become Christians. So this is what Antoine Barra says as a minister. Now you imagine, we have the Hussein. We have the continuation of come to the camp of Hussein. What is that camp? The camp of Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We don't have any problem with Quran. One Quran, alhamdulillah, throughout the whole earth, throughout the whole humanity, one copy of the Quran, even though they want to change it. The only problem with us is, what is the Sunnah? And if that Sunnah is explained thoroughly, as I always have said it, and inshallah accept it from me, your humble brother, that after the khutbah is finished, I am the one that I have to be questioned, where did I see all of these things? Ask us. It is true during the khutbah we are not allowed to talk, but it is true that after the khutbah, any khatib that is here, it is not always me. Alhamdulillah, for the past 2 weeks, we had a great scholar that he was giving us a khutbah. Any time that something like that happens, question. Say, where did you see it? Talk to each other. فَبَشِّرْ عِبَادٍ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمَعُونَ الْقَوْلِ وَيَتَّبِعُونَ. Hear me, but follow what Quran is telling us. Hear me if I'm or anybody that he talks about that, but follow, see what is it in compared to the Holy Quran that will never be changed, and what is wrong with it, then we will have to go, we will be, inshallah ta'ala, in the same page together. The words that we are discussing is the word of Shia. You probably know the words of Sunnah and Shia has been explained in the Holy Quran in negative and positive. You know that. We have in the Quran 11 times the words of Shia explained with its mushtaqat. It is positive and negative. وَإِنَّ مِنْ شِيَةِ إِبْرَاهِيم. Ibrahim alayhi salam is the Shia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That we hear that. Or the negative part, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ فَرَّقُوا دِينَهُمْ وَكُونُوا شِيَعًا. Those that they make tafraqa, they make divisions on the deen, and they call themselves party of this one, party of that. This is negative. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam calls, Ya Shi'atu ala Abu Sufyan, you that you are the follower of Abu Sufyan. What was Abu Sufyan doing that he calls it on the day of Ashura? Shi'i Aqar Abu Sufyan. What was he doing? The follower of Abu Sufyan are the one that they were supposed to go ahead and say that we will bring the concept of Allah, which is not to our reach, to the level of our families, our tribes. Kingdom has to come back to us. Not whatever that Abu Sallallahu says, Allah is the creator of the whole universe. The same concept as you probably see behind the dollar bill of yours, one eye and the pyramid of Pharaoh, and or the same concept as Pharaoh said, that Ya Harun, Ibn Ali Sirhan, Harun, my prime minister, why don't you build me a ladder to see what Musa is? Musa says Allah is above all of these things, which of course he says according to the concept of Pharaoh. I believe that he is a liar, so there is no such a thing. I am the only Lord, that is what he says, in one God we trust. Therefore, we will see that the concept of Shia is explained negatively, and the Sunnah the same way. Sunnah of Jahiliyyah is the same thing. You don't follow the Sunnah of Jahiliyyah to say Sunnah is good. No. Sunnah could be negative and positive. The same way with the word of Shia. So what we should do, bring these two into the exact path, and we will see the concept of Hussein alayhi salam is the concept of bringing back the Sunnah of Rasulullah as he was changing that Sunnah to completely something differently. And then, Ya'amat fi ibadillah bil ithmi wal udwan. How many people is he killing? How many people is he destroying? Yazid? And with udwan. Did he massacre all of the people in Karbala? Therefore, if you don't stand up for that justice, your place is really exactly the same place as Yazid ibn Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan is. No, we will have to go ahead and rise up for that concept. And alhamdulillah, for such a blessing. Again, many of the writers says, with this concept of Ashura and the uprising of the Muslims, there is no way that the Muslim could accept that some superpower and imperialism will go ahead and take over the land. With this concept, Imam al-Hussein proved that there is no such a thing as dialogue with unjust. With unjust, there is the way to rise up. Either you will be successful or you will be successful, which is in the both case that Ashura teaches the rest of the Muslim. Whatever that is happening, if there is any misconceptions in that, which you probably know it, there are things that in every religion, you probably have seen it in Christianity, the way that they beat themselves and they blood pouring everywhere. We don't say all the Christians are like that. Sometimes some Muslims, some so-called Shias will do the same thing too. It is called haram. But that is a part that we cannot control everyone and all of them. However, let us not let the concept of Ashura of Hussein, which is the uprising of all of Muhammad against injustices, be put into the back burners, but rather we continuously remind ourselves that there is such a thing as unjust rulers on the earth, and there is such a thing as a Sunnah of Rasulullah. What is he dictating us, or what's Quran telling us? All of that becomes the issues of Muharram and Ashura to move towards the justices, and inshallah ta'ala. Needless to say, you probably know the only way that the Iranian rose up and their revolution was successful was from Muharram to Muharram, from Ashura to Ashura. Read that history, and due to that, the victory came. It was not by force. Force will not bring justice. Neither the force of Yazid brought justice, nor the force of Stalin, that he killed 20 million Muslims in order for Russia, for that time, of course, the Soviet Union, to become free from the Muslims. No, it didn't happen. And it's still the same thing that is happening, where by the force, justice will not come. It is only with justice that you bring justice through others. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وادعوا الله سبحانه وتعالى وإن شاء الله أن نؤمن بالجنة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه. الحمد لله القاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين مكار الظالمين سريف المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين مؤتمر المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الارض وعمارها وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد المصطفى صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. عباد الله اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. Human has always been working towards justice. That justice is either by the dialogue with each other, or sometimes by just saying, I will wait until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala laws will be taken place. There is no way at all that you rise up with a gun against a gun, so you will be successful. Unless you know the way of Hussein is. Many people are talking about that concept, and inshallah ta'ala, if you wish, we can sit down after the khutbah, tackle some of the issues that when Imam al-Hussein wanted to know that he's going to be killed anyway, and Yazid is not the type of person that we go ahead and dialogue with him. What did he do? He brought all of his family with him, the children with him, the women with him, everybody with him. Somebody says, if 72 people that they were the best kind of the people, and they were the follower of the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of these 72 were killed and finished. Therefore, the Sunnah was completely over. We take it the other way around. No. He brought his family to Karbala. He brought all of them. They witnessed. Upon witnessing what was happening, then they became captive and they were taken to Kufa and Sham. The reason that this Jummah, this Friday, I'm talking to you about that, still the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are in the way from Kufa to Sham, from the time of the Ashura. Now, when they get there, the people of Sham, or today's Syria, they didn't know that there was such a thing as a Sunnah of Rasulullah. They didn't know. They were all changed. They have been changed in the Sunnah of Muawiyah and Yazid. That is how it goes. Now that they are getting over there, and they notice that there is such a speech by Ali ibn Hussein Zain al-Abidin in the throne of the Yazid, so what happens? People start thinking that Yazid of 34 years old at that time was wrong, and Imam al-Hussein was right. They will come to their realization. The revolution starts to, the seed of the revolution will get spread out through the earth. And the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will become alive one more time. Therefore, it wasn't only the 72 that they were all shaheed by Yazid, yet the message of that one, especially by Zainab Salamullah, the daughter of Imam Ali, was given to the rest of the Sham, and continuously it is gaining momentum. My brothers and sisters, the kuffar, they knew, and they know it for sure, that the path of Hussein, as Gandhi said, is the only way that you can free India. Hussein is not for Shiis. Hussein is not for Sunnis. Hussein is for all humanity, in fact. Many of the people say, if you want to be free, follow the path of Hussein. The path of Hussein is a path of freedom and justice. And 72 whatever that they were. But you go ahead to a beautiful dialogue of whatever that Imam Hussein alayhi salam had been telling to the rest of the people as they came. He didn't want to fight them. He continuously talked to them to an extent that you know the commander of the armies, they were rejected, and the army finally rejected, and they went back, or they didn't fight anymore. So with that, when the Sunnah was introduced in Karbala, and later on in Sham, and today throughout the whole earth, this Sunnah will remain, and whatever that Yazid has done, you will never find his grave, you will never find none of those thousands that they came to kill Imam Hussein, but for sure, we all know where are the graves of the 72 and all of those that they followed that path. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us to come to understanding, to be with each other, to dialogue with each other. Instead of looking at each other with our ears, let us look at each other with our open heart and talk to each other and say, my dear brother, we, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love you, that brought you to the masjid. Who are we to dislike anybody? May Allah give us the value of those, that they can be a good servant for this place. Allow me to open our parentheses and go to Salat. A brother that has been with us for past 20 years and has been here without calling his name. After he cleans up the place and he does everything, then he goes, he makes 2 rak'ah, Salat. And say, Allah, alhamdulillah, you gave me the blessing that I can come here and do my job. And I'm so happy that everything is set and everything is back to whatever that is supposed to be. We love you, my brothers and sisters. Those that they work here not for money. They work here for much greater reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I hope you take it by yourself. That when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا, we don't ask any reward from you. And he says, Ya Rasulullah, tell the people, I am not seeking any reward for you. قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَلَائِكَةَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ, except the love of my Ahlul Bayt, the close kin of us. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us to follow that path, to be with him, and then the justice and peace will come much sooner. اللهم انصر الاسلام والمسلمين وانصر من نصر الدين. اللهم انصر جيوش المسلمين وعساكر الموحدين. اللهم انت اخواننا في كل مكان واقتل الكفار والمنافقين والمستكبرين والمشركين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله احد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا احد. قوموا الى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.